getting into the book now, the 6-step process. The first part of the book is an introduction, and it really is introspection. It's much like what color's your parachute. It just asks you to kind of deep dive and think a little bit about what your core values are, 10 things you're grateful for. And I do this in the introduction to help people start to deeply dive into their career and recall some of the events and things that they had and successes, and then start to frame them in. And literally pencil to paper stuff. There's little blank forms in the book. You start to feed this stuff, write this stuff down, think about it, and then start to do an inventory of your skills, your competencies. And I think what's really important is your interests, things that you do that could become, possibly a career. But it's really the time to think and be introspective. And the book kind of lends itself to that. And one of the big nuggets, the book's full of assignments and nuggets. They're called Yikes nuggets and Yikes assignments. But one of the nuggets is to do more research than just blindly applying online. I found that can be a big false sense of achievement, blinded, applying online. And he's like, I remember thinking like, well, I can kind of do that job. I wasn't qualified, but I could start to see myself fitting into something like that. And man, you've got to be really, really critical of yourself. Do you have the background? Do you have the education the job description's requiring? If you don't have that, just move on. You're just not going to get through the filters, and we'll talk about that. So question for the team down there. If Jeff, there's a way that maybe the folks could answer this. I'm curious. What's the number one thing people should be doing in job search?
I guess networking.
Amen. Absolutely.
Decide what you want. What else? Anybody else? Researching.
Well, I agree with those answers. I think the number one thing to do is networking, and that's call and speak with people that know you and know what you can do. The second part of that, I touched on it earlier. It's the research. You're better off doing more research about opportunities and companies, and actually preparing for interviews, which I contend you're interviewing the company, the culture, the people, the products, as much as they're interviewing you. But yeah, networking is super important. The stigma of, oh my gosh, I got laid off or I got fired, it doesn't carry the negativity that it used to, I think, 30, 40 years ago. A lot of really good people get swept out. These big companies, the fastest way they can adjust the bottom line is to reduce headcount and inventory, and people just get jettisoned. And it's a shame, but that's just how things can be. But the first part of the actual 6 steps now, it's this time to do some thinking. And if you're religious, pray. If you're not that way, maybe this is a time to do some thinking about, maybe you should get a little closer to the big guy and just give some thought to a prayerful consideration of where you're going in your life. But I think, we're all one in a million. We have this body of experiences. And if you think about it, it's really statistically a heck of a challenge to find the right opportunity, culture, challenges that are going to draw on your background. It's like, you just got to do a lot of research and a lot of networking and a lot of talking to people. I think it's just a good time to do some reflection about your life lessons you learned from your family and your job, things you picked up at school, and think about your tools as tools in the toolbox. What are your interests? Where do you want to go with this stuff? And what do you do that maybe today you're not getting paid for, but you could get paid for? In some respects, that one of the things that I ended up doing in my career is I always did consultative technical sales, and I sold aircraft brake material, machines to inspect metal parts, and I've come back into in electronic locks in the higher education industry. It's a lot of interesting things, but I came back down to the industry. I'm a mechanical guy at heart. I went back to bearings and PT, mechanical stuff. And I was blessed to get back in with Timken 6 years ago. And I'm going to ride off into the sunset today. By the way, I'm on vacation, so this isn't I'm not double dipping or anything.